A lifeless little boy on a beach in Turkey, seething masses of humankind besieging bus stations, train stations, ships, barbed wire barricades, security at the borders. It's a haunting nightmare which just goes on and on, seems to be irreversible. And it prompts, at least in me, three particular thoughts. First, it's worth thinking about the genesis of all of this. It's important to realize that by and large the Western world is responsible for what is happening. Those terribly provocative and in many cases unnecessary conflicts that we engaged in Iraq and Afghanistan and Libya and Syria, and then the inability to resolve these terrible wars that we were so instrumental in creating at the Security Council of the United Nations. It's quite a commentary on the Security Council. And second, it's the question of the role of ISIS, and ISIS isn't the primary target here. The primary target should be President Assad, because the 4 million refugees outside Syria and the 7 million internally displaced inside Syria are the product of his predatory, ferocious, demonic conflict where he's now using chemical weapons in abandon on his own people. And third is the whole question of the response to the refugees over the last many months. In the Western world, it's been largely pathetic until now. Finally, the European Union is coming to its senses, and Germany will take 500,000 a year for many years, and the UK and France have finally come on board. You know, my country, Canada, is particularly delinquent. We're a country with a history of taking and absorbing tens of thousands of refugees from Vietnam and Uganda and the Balkans and Czechoslovakia and Hungary, and now we're virtually sitting on our hands, even in the middle of an election campaign, indifferent, passive, somnambulant. It drives you crazy. But I say all of this for a particular reason. It's important to see these 50 million refugees now extant in the world as products of conflict as merely the precursors, the prelude, the preface to what's coming. Because by the middle of this century, there will be another 50 million refugees. There'll be environmental refugees. Because as the sea levels rise and the polar caps melt and the coastal areas are inundated by water from Manhattan to Mexico, from Norway to Senegal, there will be tens of millions of refugees driven out of their homes in countries like Bangladesh, in the islands of the South Pacific, in the Caribbean. We should be planning now to deal with the horrendous crisis which is looming over and above the crisis which is before us. But we won't. We never plan. And where is our compassion? That was last week, and this week, and next week, and eternity. And through it all, I'm Stephen Lewis.